All right, well, thank you for having me here this afternoon. Once again, my name is James Jackson III. I'm a certified coach, trainer, and speaker with the John Maxwell team. John Maxwell is a world-renowned leadership author. He's written about 100 books regarding leadership. And I'm certified to train, speak, and coach using his material. So I have a lot of information I want to give to you about leadership in a short amount of time, so I'm just going to jump right into it. First thing I want to do is tell you a quick story, a story many of you may be familiar with, and it's about 4 people. Those 4 people are named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. But everybody thought anybody could have do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have. Because they all could have used better leadership, right? Who was the leader in that anyway? Leadership. What is leadership? It's not a concept you can really define by looking in the dictionary. Matter of fact, our team put together a very technical definition, and we also have a real simple definition. So I'll provide the technical definition first that we put together, and I'll break it down into the more simple definition. So leadership is the facilitation of the process of the crystallization of potential into desired results through a systematic organization of talent. And that's about as smart as I'm going to sound throughout this whole talk. So I'm going to say it again, and then I'll break it down for you. Leadership is the facilitation of the process of the crystallization of potential into desired results through a systematic organization of talent. In other words, as a leader, you help people become a better version of themselves through some sort of system or process utilizing their strengths or talents. That system or process could be school, it could be job, it could be church, it could be a volunteer organization, or a leader essentially just makes an impact on people's decisions or their growth strategy or even their path to success. Because of all of that, it breaks down into one thing. Leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Some people believe that you have to have some sort of stature or status in order to be known as a leader, like a position or a title. Well, if you look on my business card at the bank, it says Assistant Vice President. It looks really good on the business card, but there are a lot of assistant vice presidents at the bank, right? And not many of them have any type of leadership role. They don't provide an impact on anybody there. It's just more of an internal thing than external. Some may think that all managers are leaders. When in effect, all leaders can be managers, but not all managers can be leaders. Because managers focus on making sure the process keeps going, but leaders' job is to ensure that the people within that process keep growing. And then there's people who think all entrepreneurs are business owners. Well, I spent some time in commercial banking, and not all entrepreneurs are leaders. Some entrepreneurs are just a one-man show, right? There's just them running their own business, kind of like myself. They don't have a team to lead or manage. And then you don't have to be a leader to invent some sort of product or service to market to the masses. Some may feel you have to have some sort of knowledge in order to be a leader. Well, believe it or not, I'm naturally an introvert. I grew up a very shy kid all throughout school and all the way through college, and I just dove my head into books, got the best grades I could, and you can essentially call me, I was a nerd. And I embraced my nerdship. I was right there, but I had all this knowledge, but I wasn't leading anybody. So if you don't have to have a certain amount of knowledge or have to be an entrepreneur or manager, have some sort of title, well, who are our leaders? Well, if leadership is influence, we are all leaders. In John Maxwell's book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, the first law he talks about in there is the law of the lid. And the lid basically is determining your level of effectiveness as far as your leadership. So I myself, being this shy kid growing up, and I'm the founder of the Utah African American Chamber of Commerce. So when I founded the chamber, I never thought of myself as a leader. So of course, my leadership lid, as far as on a scale of 1 to 10, was probably like a 1 or a 2. So I went through this leadership development process. And there's really just 5 stages of this development process. And then at that bottom stage, is this unconscious incompetence. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't realize I'd have to become some sort of leader in order to start up this chamber. I had this vision and I was just ready to go with it. So I didn't know what I didn't know. And I started bringing these board members to start working it, and they weren't doing anything. So when they weren't doing anything, I was like, well, what is wrong? Go back to my mentors, and I realized something was missing, which takes me to that next stage of that leadership development process, which is I know that I need to know, just wasn't sure what. So talking to my mentors and telling them what's going on, and then I realized that it's leadership that I needed to improve on, which took me to that third step, which is the conscious incompetence, where I know now what I don't know, which is leadership. Which is important, right? That acceptance of the fact, because that allows you to grow. So I took myself to that fourth step, which is that conscious competence, where I'm growing because of what I'm learning and growing from, investing in myself and having mentors around me to share with me what it takes in order to become an effective leader. And I started bringing people on my board. And that last stage in that leadership development process is that unconscious competence. Folks like Dr. Land or the president of Solid Community College, where they just have that leadership swag, right? You can probably tag those people as those born leaders. But as you can see, leadership is not a talent or a gift. It's a skill that just needs to be developed over time. I started this chamber about going on 8 years now, so you could say I took the scenic route as far as growing as a leader. So I know you're all wondering what I did in order to become a more effective leader, right? To increase my influence and growing. Well, there's one thing that I did to increase my influence. Because if you increase your influence, you increase your leadership, because leadership is influence. And all this comes down to one thing. If you want to increase your influence, add value. Become more valuable, you add value to people, and you have more influence on them. That's really all it takes. You create more value, you become valuable, you provide more influence, and hence you increase your leadership. So I'm going to go through 10 things to help you become more valuable and how you can add value to people. And it's an easy way to remember these 10 things because it's the acronym INFLUENCER. The first thing is the I is integrity. You can't influence anybody if you don't have their confidence. So you have to develop that trust with them. N is to nurture people. Not necessarily nurture them like a mother does for a child, although sometimes they're in a management role or leadership role. It feels like you have to do that, right? But nurturing people just means that you care about them. Show them how much you care. Because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So show them appreciation. Give them some recognition. Let them know that you care about them. F is having faith in the people. When you believe in people's ability, it creates an atmosphere for them to make it easier for them to succeed. And if you actually believe in them before they've even proven themselves, that just motivates them to succeed even more. When I came in, when I started this Chamber of Commerce with no experience in nonprofit, no experience in chambers of commerce, little experience in business ownership. So I had hardly any credibility. But I had these group of people from the Utah Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that gave me some direction. And then they saw the vision and the passion I had, and they said, you know what, James, let's do this, and this. They had faith that I was going to get it done. And that just motivated me to keep going. Even when I felt like I was encountering some hurdles because of my lack of experience or lack of leadership, I just go right back to them and they just walk me through the process. It's that faith that kept me moving. So I is integrity, N is nurture, F is having faith, L is listening. And I believe since we're going beyond this information age, because I believe now we're in the age of distraction. So our attention span is shrinking more and more and more every day because we have information coming all over the place, not only just from cell phones and text message and email, but we have, 60-something social media type networks and TV and internet and everything. So people are having the TV on, but they're looking at their phone, right? We just cannot stay focused. So listening is actually a more challenging skill than it ever has become before. So to become an effective listener, you can remember the LADDER acronym, L-A-D-D-E-R. L is look at the person speaking to you. I don't just stare into their eyes like crazy, but just look at the person that you're speaking to. A is ask questions, because that lets them know that you're genuinely interested in what they're talking about. Be interested and not interesting. I was sitting with a gentleman at the airport, and he was leaving to Australia, and I'm going to Utah. A little bit of a difference in traveling there. Traveling from Seattle to here, and asked him what he did for a living, what's bringing him all the way to Australia, because I'm intrigued. I've never been to Australia. He owns some IT company. He's part owner of an IT company, and quit asking him questions. I'm very a non-technical type of guy, so a lot of the stuff was just going over my head. So I just kept asking questions, staying engaged with them, and he just kept opening up. Let him know that I was interested in what he was talking about. Ask questions. D is don't interrupt. Which is hard for us, right? Because people are talking and they have a thought and it inspires a thought or idea in us. We're quickly ready just to get it out. And they haven't finished their thought process. Well, it's rude to interrupt, but we do it anyway, right? We just interject right there. And me, I feel like I have a little bit of ADD in me, because if you interrupt me on this thought process and you talk and you come back to me, what is that you're saying? I don't know. I forgot. So you can't do that with me. The next D is don't change the subject. Changing the subject is just as bad as interrupting. E is check your emotions. As a leader, it's important to stay under as far as your emotions. Just keep calm, cool, and collective, right? You hear about that. And then R is respond, if necessary. Sometimes people just want to just talk and just have you just listen. I'm a fan, and when I have time, I watch the show called The Big Bang Theory. I'm not sure how many of you are into that show. Like I said, I'm a nerd and I like watching those type of TV shows, but there's a character in that show, his name is Raj. In the beginning of this series, for some reason, he cannot talk to women, no matter what happens. He's talked to his buddies, so a woman walks in the door, zoop, doesn't even speak, can't speak to him. Likes them, loves women. He's single for a reason, because he can't speak to them. But they come to this Halloween party, he and his buddies. And of course, there was one girl there at a Halloween party, college-age kids, right? And she had a little bit too much to drink. And of course, he likes looking at her, so he's just talking. It's like he's getting attention, right? He's enjoying the attention, so he's just nodding and enjoying her company. And at the end of the show, they're in bed together. And you're like, what? He didn't even talk to her. Can't say anything, right? You wonder how that all happened. And she's talking and talking. At the end of the show, at the end of that clip, she says, you're such a great listener, right? He didn't interrupt. Just kind of let her just go. So ladder. So as far as becoming a person of influence, increasing your influence, I is integrity, N is nurture, F is having faith, L is listening, U is understanding, understand people. And to understand people, you always hear about put yourself in their shoes. Where are they coming from? And you can do that by listening and asking questions, kind of see things from their perspective. And it's easier to help them through particular situations. Which brings me to E, which is enlarge people, which is simply just being a mentor to people. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a professor or you have to be an expert on something, but you may have more knowledge than the person that you're speaking with, that you can offer some sort of help or guidance. So just be there for that person to give them some mentorship. The next N is Navigator, to navigate people. So when you navigate them, it's like your people are following you through this path, right? And you have these bushes are in this path, and you're just having that one sword or scissors, and you're just slashing through this particular path, opening it up. That means you're resolving the problems for them. You're kind of seeing ahead of the game there. And then C is connect with people, which is, like I said, being the age of distraction, it's hard to do these days, is connecting with people, because everyone can communicate, all those various mediums I just talked about earlier, but few people connect. A great example of connecting is that I have a younger daughter who plays comp soccer, and she was on this team last year. Great team energy, great coach, and then because of they changed their ages, so from school year to calendar year, so she tried out and ended up on a different team. There's no real connection. The coach is not, we're just not a fan of the coach. Not coaching really well, the team is not gelling well. Audrey can't really connect with her team, right? So when you connect with people, you can tell you're connecting because you're creating an enjoyable experience. There's a common ground that's developed, and it gives you the ability to inspire them. E is to empower. So when you can empower people utilizing their strengths and talents or skills, then you're able to accomplish more things, fulfilling your goals and purpose. We have an intern within our chamber, and she's going to continue to stay on board even after school, and she's going to develop her own volunteer team. And I'm just empowering her to do that to kind of help us through our process in developing and being a successful organization. Because the volunteer organization, shoestring budget, we can't pay a lot of people. We strive and look for volunteers. The final piece is R, and R is probably the most difficult of all of them, which is reproduce leaders. 85% of leaders attract followers. Only 10% attract leaders. That last 5% is who reproduces leaders. I spent some time in network marketing for a little while, and this guy was given a training, and he had this quote that really stuck with me. And he just added on to a quote that we're all familiar with: feed a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man a fish, feed him for a lifetime. But then he added this piece, which really hit me hard. He said, teach a man to teach his children how to fish, end world hunger. So it's kind of like your LinkedIn account, right? You have your first degree connections, your second degree connections, your third degree, and it's kind of going down the line there. So you're not only influencing the people following you, but you're influencing the people that are following the people that are following you. It goes down and down and down. So your leadership, your influence is exponentially growing. So in adding value to people comes down to 10 things: integrity, nurture, having faith in people, listening to people, understanding people, enlarging people, being a mentor, being a navigator, connecting with them, empowering them, and helping them become a leader by reproducing leaders. If you add value, and the more value you can add, then you increase your influence. You increase your influence, you increase your leadership. So you continue to increase your value, you increase. Thank you.